What is going on, gamers? Today we're going to be discussing anime. Recently, I've been starting to watch Code Geass, which is an anime. I've been interested in watching it for a really long time, and I've just never really, got around to watching it. You know how you've always wanted to just watch or, play a game, but you just don't have the time or you haven't been able to just get into it yet? So I've been waiting to just kind of find some time to watch it lately. And I finally found a few hours not that long ago to watch a lot of the first couple of episodes. I'm about halfway through the first season. And, it's a really good anime. I'm very happy I started to watch it because it's kind of exactly what I was hoping it to be. And it's just been a great show to watch. And it has a lot of stuff that I look for when I'm trying to watch a show or an anime or a TV series or whatever I'm trying to watch. It's just a good drama filled action adventure which leaves you on the edge of your seat a lot of the times. And not to mention, it also has a great concept, a really good, world map and overall historic background to the story. The story takes place in an alternate timeline of our own timeline, which is where the British would fail to defeat the French in the Napoleonic Wars, which would leave France in control of the British Isles. And, Britain without the British Isles, that's like, pizza without cheese. Like, what do you got? You got nothing left. So, Britain is really they're forced to hide in the colonies and rebuild. They've lost everything. They have nothing left. When you lose everything, it's not a easy process to deal with, especially if it's a country that loses everything. We've seen countries in the past, such as Germany, after World War One, they lost everything. Their currency devalued, and that leads to corruption and desperation for change. And that's what we see in Code Geass with Britannia, a very desperate nation losing their homeland, hiding in the 13 colonies now. They become desperate to rebuild this empire, this sense of a great country they once had, and they completely conquer the new world and they increase their technology to like things they've never accomplished before because they don't want to have the same outcome they saw when they lost to France. They don't want to have a repeat of that. They want to be above the competition. They can't lose because they've lost so much before and they realize that. And it puts a big stress and strain on their country. It makes them corrupt in their thinking, and a very authoritarian and restrictive society is built out of that loss that they failed to win. And we see Britannia in the anime of Code Geass. They start out and they conquer the kingdom of Japan and they annex it into their empire. They also wage war across South America as well as the Middle East, and they're trying to establish an overseas empire similar to the British Empire that they failed to, you know, keep before. They lost their empire, but now they're trying to rebuild a new empire from the ashes. And Code Geass takes place in Japan, which is a country that was taken over by Britannia from this desperation. And it's just really interesting to see how a country can be occupied and how, if your country is occupied, sometimes, you always have that rebellious spirit, and we see that in Code Geass. But a lot of people, they accept their fate and they're fine with being a part of this dictatorship of Britannia that we see in the show. So it leads to a big divide in the story with two different factions. We see the loyalists who prefer to be a part of Britannia, and we see the revolutionists who don't want to be a part of this dictatorship. They want change, but some of them have different ways of perceiving this change. Do they want to fight for that change, or should they go the peaceful route? And we see that between our two main characters, Lelouch, which is our main character, and we have Suzaku, which is our rival character. I almost mispronounced it. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but these two are practically our main character versus our rival. Suzaku is the rival, and he believes that a peaceful diplomacy with Britannia should occur to overall, change doesn't have to happen in a day. You don't have to fight for it. You can peacefully make change slowly over time. We've seen this before with people like Martin Luther King who've done great things for this world, and they change it, but they're not violent. They're peaceful. It's same with Gandhi and other peaceful people like that. So we see this with Suzaku, and that is his morals. That is what his identity in the show is. And then we have Lelouch, which is the exact opposite of Suzaku. And what Lelouch wants for this country is he wants to fight. Not at the start. He doesn't want to fight at the start. But once he learns of all the things Britannia is doing, he wants to fight. And he receives the power of the Geass, the code Geass. He receives the Geass power. And he wants to make a change. He doesn't know how to do that. But he knows he wants to make a change for this country, and he wants to fight, and he wants to liberate this country with a rebellion and revolution, and fight Britannia directly head on. And we see this conflict between these characters, and what makes it so much better is that these characters, they were childhood friends. They grew up together, and as they grow up now, we see them with opposite opinions. And you know, in terms of drama, will they kill each other? What do they have to do? What ends will they stop at to accomplish their mission? And that's a really interesting concept for a show. But the Kingdom of Britannia, they are so oppressing of their colonies that they don't even refer to Japan as Japan. They refer to it as District 11. And this is something that reminds me a lot of Hunger Games for some reason, which Hunger Games also has District 11. I don't know if it's the same concept entirely, but I wonder if Hunger Games took some inspiration from Code Geass when creating their story. It's very possible, and overall, I've always found the evolution of story-related media to be just a really interesting and under-talked about topic. But there's just a lot going for it, and I don't know. But while I was watching Code Geass, there was something that just kept hitting me slowly. It feels like I was watching this show before, and not because it was like Hunger Games, but because it's a lot like another anime that I happen to love. It's one of my favorite animes of all time, and that anime is Death Note. Death Note is a story which takes place not in a dictatorship, Britannia, alternate world like that, but Death Note is a lot more grounded in reality, and it follows the main character of Light Yagami, which is a intelligent child prodigy similar to Lelouch, and Light Yagami receives a power similar to Lelouch. You can see where I'm getting at, and this power being the Death Note, which allows him to write people's names in the book, and that kills them. So Light, being a person who believes the world is a rotten place to live in, he wants to make a change very similar to Lelouch, and he wants to make a change by erasing all criminal life from the world. That is Light's goal, and it's very interesting just to see the dynamic between Light and his rival, which is very similar to Code Geass. We see a very similar opposing rival dispute. Light Yagami, he believes that erasing crime is a noble and just thing to do. And on the other side, we have L, aka Ryuzaki, and what he wants is he wants to stop Light because it's not right to judge people. You can't judge someone's fate. We see this a lot in real life as well. Is it morally acceptable to allow the death penalty, for example? Is that right? Is it overboard? Should we be doing that? For some cases, I say yes, we should be, but in other cases, should we? It's a debatable point of talking, I guess, and how far will we really go is just a good moral topic to talk about, and that's what Death Note and Code Geass attack like head on. And I love these two animes. They're both very similar, and they both have similar topics. Where Code Geass, it discusses war and peace. Should we fight for freedom, or should we be peaceful and peaceful protest, change can still occur. That's what Code Geass talks about. And Death Note talks about a similar topic, but it's just different. It talks about the morality of justice, and should we erase all criminals from the world, even if even if it corrupts us, even if we erase all the petty crime, all the evil crime, is that in turn making us a criminal? Or should we, allow the criminals to still be alive in prison? Is that morally acceptable for all the evil they've caused? And it's just a really interesting topic. Should we allow the rotten people of the world to continue their evil or stop them? And that's what Death Note attacks head on. And we just see these two stories, and they're just very similar. But overall, that's just what I wanted to talk about, the overall morality and the topics of these two shows and how they, intertwine with a very similar premise. And have you guys watched these shows? I definitely recommend both of them. In terms of which one I enjoy more, I think Death Note is a little bit more story progressive, and it really leaves you on the edge of your seat a lot more. But Code Geass, I'm definitely happy I started watching this show, and I definitely will finish it. So that's just what I wanted to talk about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all for the next one. Peace.